And also long distance relationship. Is it something that is set up to fail? So with these few questions, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Moby for the next 30 minutes. It's such a pleasure to have him. He's such a big celebrity. I'm kind of jittery and nervous to have him on, you know, because it's so seasoned. I'm such a novice in this industry. So, Dr. Moby, do you have the message for us today before we go into the questions?
Oh, thank you for asking all those questions, and thank you, Vicky. Vicky is always such energetic and full of life, and if you watch our episode, she gets us going, and makes us all. We can all feel in her energy, and
Thank you.
we pray that she keeps on doing this great, amazing work. And you are so much, you got so much love and respect from all of us, so keep up the good work. So I will always say that.
Thank you. From
So,
Singapore. From Singapore.
for Singapore, for all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine you are in Singapore, I'm in US, and then look at, we are connecting, and so it is a blessing that we could do that, right? So, and not only that, but also kind of make good changes to everybody's life. I mean, your show is talk about life. You talk about so many things. You talk about faith. You talk about, it's such amazing job you're doing. So keep it up, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, Dr. Moby.
Regarding your
Learning along
question,
the way. What's your message for us today for Valentine's Day?
the message of Valentine Day is always going to be love and honesty, because those are the two biggest things we all need. Imagine any relationship, whether it's whether being husband wife, whether being lover, or whether being friend, has to rely on honesty. So if you're not honest about your relationship, it's a sadness is that those time can change, but the principles never change. Life is actually built on very simple principle of love, trust, and honesty, respect for each other, and those are never going to be out of fashion. They no matter what happens, it will be 2050 or 2070, but if those, we cannot get rid of those. So that is very important. It's like I think a lot of faith and religion are also based on love, respect, and honesty, and taking care of each other in need of and basically those principles are never going to change for no one, right? So imagine, imagine it'll be, and we can have all kind of with technology we'll see more robots and everything. I'm sure it won't be far away when people will have pets, robots, right? So they will follow, but they cannot give you love. I mean, they can follow your commands, and but they cannot give us love. So love is something which we humans or animals can show.
So, Dr. Moby, Valentine's Day in Singapore, some people extend it just love in general, not just romantic love between man and a woman. Nowadays it's with the same gender. Expressing love is so important, and I just want to share with you a little bit. To also share this message of love that you're talking about in this very special day for Valentine's Day. In Singapore, Valentine's Day, there people are celebrating it between mother and daughter, parents and child, just in a very general way, not in a romantic kind of way. So this is somehow we kind of take it to another level. And I remember, in a very Asian society like we are in Singapore, in the Asian context, love is a hard word to say. It's very hard for us to actually express, to say the three words like I love you. And when it comes to even like Western educated, like people like our generation, yourself as a doctor, myself, having a business background. When it comes to us, I'm not sure about you, me saying that even to my mother, even when she was still here with us, it is something that is unthinkable. Does that is that difficult for you and your culture, your family culture?
And that's a very good question. That Asian cultures. I'm from Pakistan, and you're from Singapore, and of course, over the years, I've been now here in US for many years. And what has changed in the culture? When I was growing up, did we celebrate Valentine's? No, you know and absolutely, we even now they do over there a lot, but when I was growing up, we never saw Valentine's celebration. Then the question is, we have different celebrations, but we don't have where there's expression of love like this, whether it's between husband wife, whether it's between anyone. I think in Asian culture is considered more taboo type, to even
Yeah.
express those feelings. I mean, they do actually have feeling. I shouldn't say that. They have feelings, but they express it in poetic way. So you will write a
Poetic way. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
you will write a poetry about beauty of eyes, and how you interact, or when you first saw somebody. It's more romantic, and it is more absolutely full of literature. If you look at the famous these poets also from Asian, and
Mm,
they have such a great language, and also look at the poems, and so poetic expressions
mm,
are there. I mean, famous stories about love are actually, if of course, Indian history too, then Taj Mahal, those
yeah.
type of course they are there. They always had love, but
Mm,
they would never say just for one day that this day is going
yeah.
to be, we will express. They
Yeah.
will continuously express throughout.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so my point is they don't have a day usually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so basically they would still express everything, do what
Yeah.
is, but to have a specific day where they're going to get flowers, or they will
Yeah.
express that's not part of the
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, and Dr. Moby, I'd like to bring this topic about love on this special occasion to put it into a context of culture,
Mhm.
um, to kind of like juxtapose the traditional classical way of expression versus modern or Western way of expression. And like your view on it. In a very even within my family. We show our love, like what you say, in a different way, not on a daily basis, not in a way that we articulate, I love you. For me, I would show my love through giving her the money. I will give her like a pocket money. I will give her like, money on Mother's Day, money every month. It's an expression of love, because money represents like your hard work, your blood, and your sweat. Certain culture expresses it differently. Some people give it as gift, give it as flowers. But do you think that the articulation of it, which is such a taboo thing in a very reserved culture, whether it's from your family, my family, or even in a very modern society, the articulation of it in a way that is verbal, do you think that is something that is also meaningful, significant, or do you think that the action of it um, uh, is important? So, what is your take on it for having this juxtaposition of cultural expression of love?
So different cultures have different expression, as you're right. Some would send money, some would just maybe cook food, maybe food is another one, big one
Yes.
in our culture. If you have a guest, or if you have loved ones, even when they visit or when they, and if you don't kind of cook a big meal, or it's like considered like they don't really care about us or they don't love us, you know. So I'm sure with your mom also you had memories of uh, eating together, or she making breakfast for you, or you are getting some gift for her, you know, something nice she likes. So those like a clothes, or so I would buy for my parents something, maybe you know their dress. So sure, and you know, for Valentine's sake, you know, the love is not only between husband and wife; it's also between, you know, friends, and also can be with any gender, and also can be you know, your parents, your loved ones, your brothers, sisters, could be anyone. I mean, it is not just you know, it's just kind of expression of love, you know, in my opinion. So I think yeah, there are different forms, you know. So our culture is probably more of eating, some exchange of money. Sure, you know, they do. Does the amount of money matter? No. You know, should it that it has to spend this much? Not really. But
Yeah.
you know, sometimes just visiting, sometimes talking to nicely, to
Mm,
you know,
mm,
roses were never you know, that you have to give roses for sure. Not really.
yeah.
So you know, I think if you now roses, Valentine. I mean,
Mm.
I don't disagree. This is a one way of culture. I mean, I love, in my opinion, you know, any expression of love
Any expression.
is acceptable, and it's not only acceptable, it's actually preferred.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to question is, if you don't express, what happens if we don't express anything,
Yes.
you know. um,
Yeah.
then that's how the humans communicate, you know,
Yes.
that we have to have some kind of expression, whether language, whether communication, whether you know, some signs. So
Mm,
you know, maybe looks, maybe the way you look at, and maybe with your eyes, maybe non-verbal
mm.
communication, right? It could be non-verbal communication too, but we need
Yeah.
some kind of sign, we need some kind of communication
Yeah,
to
I like to challenge Dr. Moby to this the next question. Yeah, you know, in my culture where I'm brought up, there's always this colloquial saying like, okay, in a dialect, I'm gonna translate it into English. Um, uh, when you beat a child, you show love. When you scold a child, you show love. And that's the thinking of the tiger moms and the tiger dads, even in those days and even in these days. And you've got cases whereby parents aren't able to show love, and they are not loving because they are the parent that are strict. They are the parent, and I've seen a lot of such cases. They are the parent who expects a lot from the child, like they have to get 100 marks for this subject, 100 marks for that subject, and if they don't, you know, the child goes through a lot of kind of punishment and all this. You know, there is a kind of love now that you look at it, and we talk about that kind of love. Now, that kind of love it still exists.
hmm,
I would say that I would call that as classical method of love, whereby the love is expressed in a different way. And of course, modern love, whereby uh, I would say that nowadays, like parents are just like giving the iPhones, the latest board games, the latest Game Boy, you know, the latest gadgets and all this. Dr. Moby, what is your take on that tiger moms and the tiger dads who are so strict, but they also raised a generation of children who are disciplined, giving results, and then having something to show as a record at the end of the children's lives. You know, they say, you know, because they have been so strict. So, what's your take on these schools of thought that is really very current in the parents' top sphere these days?
hmm And that is a very good question. So a lot of Asian parents, they have, I call them tough love, but they would not actually, yeah, they would not spoil. So when I was growing up, our parents, basically, they were not tough love, but they would not spend a lot of money on things. So I wasn't watching TV. We were just playing amongst each other. We would not buy expensive clothes. We would not have anything expensive. We would just focus on studies. They would say, study or work hard. So basically those are we keep on doing because is it right now I see that even here the very successful people
Mm.
adopt that. They all the really good families, which I know, very well affluent families who really know how to take care of their kids. They don't please their kids with money. They don't shower money a lot. They're not going to buy them gadgets. They're not going to buy them a lot of stuff. They say, no, you have to earn that or work for it, and then you will appreciate the value of it, and then just focus on your career. And so I have still seen that, and the results are still going to be the same. When it comes to kids, it is a very delicate,
Very delicate.
yeah, yeah. I would say, show them lot of love. Show them, yeah. Don't, be kind to them, because that's how they learn kindness, and they learn, the expression. But tell them, no, it is wrong. You're not. You're going to do it once you are reach certain level. Okay.
Yeah, and I
So.
would like to also throw Dr. Moby this scenario because I really want your view of the world to share with all of us. Bring this forward to teacher and student relationship. And in those days, right, teachers, good teachers in those days are characterized. I mean, in my view, are characterized by teachers who are extremely strict and the parents allow them to use the cane. I mean, those is those days that I watched the old movies, and I still remember my time whereby I came from a school whereby teachers are extremely strict, and they will punish the student if the student does go anyway in terms of behavior or in terms of results that did not meet the expectation of the teacher. And then looking it on the other side of education, um, whereby we do it in the other continuum, speaking to the child, giving them as much as liberty and freedom, and respecting the child, and not trying to impose your views and your take on the child. Now, I would like to tap your mind. Number one, how do we have a meeting point, and what's the pros and cons of each, and what kind of generation of people that they have groomed? Do you think that you belong to the first or the second letter kind of teacher if you're a teacher right now?
Mm. Over the years, I remember, those teachers, not the one who would, be hard, but the one who had really paid attention to our needs, or at least try to teach us. So, I have a lot of them to share, and I have a lot of respect for them.
Mm,
Wherever they are, they kind of, I give you example of, I mean, I actually, I'm also a pilot. Okay, and I am afraid of heights. Okay, and so if I go to a tall building, of course I can, but I can fly the plane. Okay, and the reason is because one of the great reason is because my teacher was such amazing person. God
mm,
bless him. His name was Jim, and eh, I cannot believe that in my life I would have learned or gone near a plane if he was not my teacher.
mm,
Amazing person. So first day I walked to him and I said, Jim, how are you? I'm trying to learn the plane. Okay, let's go. We had a little brief. So he smiled and he said, let's go. And I said, should I go in the plane? He said, yeah, let's go. And we went there, and he did not make me feel even once that I don't know anything or I have to learn a lot, which I knew I had to. But he said, okay, let's turn it on like you turn on your car. And I said, okay, I will do. And he said, these are things. Okay, we are going to do like this and just focus straight. Don't keep looking up and straight. And then, so he was so gentle. It's just not even once he said, "Oh, you're dummy," or "You are doing wrong." So, and I after that we took off, and of course he was next seat, and he was just so calm, and I said, "What, Jim? What are you supposed to do next?" And he said, do this, do that." But he's such in control and everything. I mean, we are flying, and I looked at him. He's 55-year-old, and of course at that time I was way younger than this. So I said, Jim, what if we gonna crash or something? He said, no, no, nothing will happen. He was so calm for his stand. There's
Calm teacher.
nothing that I would say to that would irritate him, or
Mm,
should. So he was in full control. And this guy had 25 years being in Air Force pilot, mechanic. He had
mm,
a lot of experience in his belt. Question is, when teachers are real teachers, they don't
mm,
make you feel very nervous. They encourage you.
mm. Okay.
The human brain is very unique. Imagine when we were kids. If we fall many times, right?
Mm,
Fall many times. But if somebody said, you don't even know how to, crawl or do, that would have really hurt us. Whether it would have delayed our progression, at least mine. But because there was positivity, whenever kid falls, people say, "Oh, no, no, no!" They clap. "Oh, no, very nice. Keep going, keep going." Guess what they do again? And then they fall. They might fall again, or they get up and they never fall again. So I think life is like that. The
mm.
human brain is kind of takes positivity in it to a different level, totally different level. And
I
then
would like to, yeah.
go ahead.
I would like to bring Dr. Moby to your memory. We talked about parents' show of love in a different way, different cultures, different country. They are all different. Verbalizing it, non-verbalizing, and giving of gift, cooking of food, etc. etc. Are you able to describe one incident in your memory whereby your parent, either dad or mom, has imprinted you that that particular action showed love?
Okay. No, my mom and my parents both actually are always very positive interaction. They never actually did anything. I mean, the only thing they would be, you can tell from the mood actually that they are upset.
Tell from the
So,
move,
I mean, from the looks of
from
my,
the eyes.
yeah, that she's upset. I mean, they would
Mm,
not do anything. They worked hard. I mean, we were, in kind of average family. We had a lot of kids, brothers,
mm,
sisters, but we never had a lot of money or but we always shared. We always
mm,
shared, and we never ever thought that basically we have to have so much money or anything, because we all worked hard. I mean,
mm,
so and learned and kind of focused on the education, and that's why I have a lot of brothers sisters who are all professional, because the reason is because they all parents, especially moms, put a lot of
mm,
emphasis on our education. My
mm,
mom is a competitive person, so she would always infuse and ask us,
mm,
oh, whether you you came first in the class or not. She was more oriented,
Competitive.
very competitiveness. So which is not good, which is not bad in that sense, because she didn't want us to look behind. She always has these stories that you have to keep working hard and just
Mm,
be best at what you do.
mm,
If you have difficulties in life, keep moving. So
mm,
that's what I think it was infused from day one. I was infused
mm.
imprinted in my brain that I will be doctor from the day I could understand any single word.
Wow.
So
That's a life calling.
yeah, so then you are imprinted with the positivity.
Mm,
And my mom, of course, she sacrificed all her life still. She would not buy expensive things, no brands. She's not interested at all.
yeah. Wow.
Because she said,
Great
no,
women.
I mean, now she can afford anything she wants, but she's not even interested in that. So those are, I think you have to be example. I'm sure you can also. They are not into, that, but they have to infuse. If kid
Yeah.
sees that, any kid sees that, they automatically get that message that you have to basically live with that, or at least have those principles in life, right?
Yeah. I do like to bring you to love within the marriage,
Mhm.
a season kind of love. You know, it's such a challenge in the last conversation we had. It's such a challenge for people to be in these pandemic times, to be locked down on prolonged period for relationships, whatever is it, children with parents, getting on your nerves, husband and wives getting on their nerves of each other. I just want Dr. Moby, what's your take? Someone has been married for like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and like your parents probably 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I mean, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, in those movies that we watch, of course, the beautiful thing is that we still see old folks and old couples in their old age, with white hair, wrinkles on their faces. They're still holding hands, walking in the park, and of course, juxtapose that with relationships that are uh, has gone cold, which has gone cold and hard. Do you have any tips on uh, reviving seasoned relationships, and any tips in sustaining them?
Mm. Personally, I think we should basically look at how the basic principles are changed or forgotten. So remember those. If you are honest with each other, any relationship can be revived. Anything, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a lover, whether it is husband wife. First principle is always be honest. It
Be
doesn't
honest.
matter if you did a mistake or
Mm,
not. That's not the key. Nobody is
mm,
perfect, right? Honesty is not equivalent to
the key.
perfection. Okay.
Mm,
So, but if you did, but if you yeah, if my wife gets upset, sure, if she tells me 10 things and I do four, then of course she will be upset. That's normal. But I know that I'm sorry, I couldn't do it, right? Or just I don't give kind of same excuses. So, which is maybe the true excuse why I couldn't do it, or maybe I didn't have time. Or
mm,
so, in my opinion, that is the most core principle for any relationship is the honesty. That is its problem is if you're not honest about that,
yeah,
then there's no relationship, in my opinion, because then there you can't even trust anything.
yeah.
So, but can you still live and hope that somebody will become honest? Yeah,
Mm,
I hope. I mean, I'm a positive person, but I don't know.
mm,
But you have to work for it.
Work for it. Yes.
Relationships, like anything, is not automatic. It
Yeah.
is, we have to work on it, you
Yeah.
know. The second is make sure forgive. Okay, forget it.
Forgive.
Yeah, forgiveness is very important, because first of all, everyone is human. If I don't forgive XYZ, then maybe I will be doing mistake too. That person will
Mm,
not
mm,
forgive me either, right? So if you, in my opinion, if you forgive something, you actually release yourself from the
mm.
negativity. Not that you are helping other, actually you're helping yourself,
Yes.
because
Yes.
you, in your heart or in your brain, you're stuck somewhere, you are stuck there.
Mm.
When we are angry on someone, we are actually stuck ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens to other person. I mean, other person might not care at all, or might
Mm,
care, but we are stuck emotionally and draining so much energy. That
mm,
thinking again and again and again, why did this person do that? Why,
mm. Yeah.
how, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that
Yeah.
is kind of, and a lot of heart problems and other issues happen to our body, physical and emotional torture, when we are doing the negative energy. So I will say,
I want to, yeah,
mm,
sorry, Dr. Moby, I would like to ask you, like, in your daily life, in maintaining a relationship, is there anything that you do in actionable steps um, on a lifestyle level, on a daily level, on a lifestyle level, that you actually take an extra conscious step to do in order to maintain the freshness of a relationship? Is it something that is hard if it goes throughout the years? The first 10 years, the second 10 years, and then the third 10 years.
I don't think I ever looked at that, how many years have passed, except for our anniversary, we know. But I think it feels like we met yesterday, and just in the same kind of frequency and same kind of thought processing
Mm,
started, and you continue with that. And I would always say that, with the only thing is, make sure you have time available for each other.
mm,
I am guilty that, of course, I get carried away, busy a lot, many
mm,
times. But I try to kind of find time. I could be a few minutes in a day
mm,
where I want to make sure, even whether you say I love you, that is great, but you want to find out how the other person is doing, if needs your help, or how the day is going by. Those are
mm.
simple things. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, there was time when we would meet at lunch, and also, talk. And
mm,
but now, life gets busier, and with COVID,
yeah,
nobody goes out for lunch anyway. And then, but I think you can still check on each other. And my wife is also a physician. I mean, many times she's busy, and we still kind of communicate and say everything is going
communication,
fine. I think it's just checking that,
expression.
in my opinion, kind of checks, make sure anybody, first of all, it kind of reassures me that the other person is doing well.
Mm,
And
yeah,
then, so I think, to me, that's how we believe or keep on doing. And I think, if you are continue to, and for me, it's very important that the other person is like your friend, or you could pretty much share anything you want, and you can say anything. So those are important things, that
yeah.
you have a trust and faith in each other.
Trust and faith. I would like to uh, challenge Dr. Moby to two real life cases.
Mhm.
Now, I've got a girlfriend. I'm going to relate without names, of course. I've got a girlfriend that I mean, they're at an age of whereby, the career building has taken their time. the life choices, the priorities of life for women has taken a big part of their lives. And when the time comes to they have to get married,
Mhm.
it's suddenly like there's no one there, which is true. Sometimes you just can't find anyone there. And these are real life stories. Um, and and when you do meet someone, right? Number one, you've really lost a lot of time before that because it wasn't part of your priority. You think that your education has brought you to this forefront of the world. It's right for you to pay it forward to work and then to bring back the money to build up the family. It's so much in that very Asian context to bring back the money home, right? So a lot of people work in the millennium. A lot of women are start working very hard, but after some time they find that hey, they've lost a lot of years behind that, and suddenly no one is there ready for their next life, and because time is lost,
Mhm.
and when they meet someone who possibly of a marriageable material, we call it here,
Mhm.
you want to kind of like either invest more time in it, which is going to take much more time from a woman's point of view,
Mhm.
or you can give yourself that 90-day window, which is now a lot of shows are like the 90-day fiance, which is very true. Of course, in the movies they made it so dramatic, through the internet. But in real life, people have this time frame. I'm going to meet this person and invest in just this window of time frame. If it doesn't work, I'm going to move on. So we are being pressed in such a contrary position. You lost time. And yet, when something comes up, you think you want to work on it. Yet, if you work on it more, you maybe you're gonna miss out Mr. Right. Then you're gonna miss out Mr. Not Right. It's always that kind of opportunity cost for women. I mean, even for men.
Yeah.
This 90-day or X number of day scenario applies to a girlfriend, which is true. And she actually gave a 90-day window. To be right, it's actually uh, 99 days because she said that on the 100th day, you and I, mean a man and a woman, should come together to make a decision. Should we or should we not go to the next more serious stage? Then we get married in the next 100 days. It does happen in a fast-paced society where things are constantly changing. Now, and then I've got another real case whereby these kind of 90-day windows did not work out. Of course, the first case, that worked out because on the 99th day, they decided, yes, we're going to invest into something serious, and then they got married. And it happened just in a modern society in Singapore. And of course, juxtapose it with someone who's always looking out 90 days, 90 days, 90 days. Because it didn't work out, I'm not going to invest in it. I'm going to look out for someone. Because these are real issues of life. We are being pressed for time because we're compressed in this twilight zone, work, career. We don't have even time enough for ourselves. And of course, for women, there's also this thing called, the biological clock, etc. So, from a man's point of view, Dr. Modi, what's your view of this? What's your comment? I mean, I can't even like give you a broad question. Like looking at these two cases, success case versus one that is never been successful. What's your advice if you are a friend of uh, either of these cases?
Hmm. Those are real stories, and
Real.
are actually practical stories. I would say that's true. A lot of, I mean, in around me also, I am seeing a lot of these now. There was a time, then it was considered maybe few cases, but now we see it every day with changing environment, how we operate and how we do things, how we have relationship. Now the marriage as an institution is going down in terms of the percentages people who are married. Okay. uh, with either sex, so that has gone down. People are living unmarried, or they are living single, or they are Question is whether we should have a time frame, and what happens to if somebody is not lucky in that time frame.
Yeah,
What,
not lucky.
right? Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah,
it is, they could be they need more time. So
yeah.
question, I would always say that society has these, or there could be internal pressure from the parents or could be from
Mm,
the family. Especially I have seen a lot of with on our culture, Asian
mm.
cultures, so
Indian culture.
they keep preaching for, especially for female, but now they are also doing for male, but females
Yeah.
for sure, that, oh, your age is going to be this and that. So but for females, I think things have changed now. They are more career oriented and they want a career, and they want to have a life, and then they want to decide about partner. They can meet somebody at that time. I think,
Mm,
first of all, I would say there's nothing wrong with anyone either way, in my opinion. Okay. So, because the reason is, take care of your health first, take care of yourself. Your priorities has to be, is important. Is you, if your priority is to get married and just have life, by all means pursue that. If your priority is have a job, have a stable income and everything, have a career, by all means do that. Can
mm,
you mix them together? Sure, you can try. And when we try things, we can be successful or not so successful. Should we have a time frame? I would not. Yes, I understand there's a biological clock running and all that situation, but nowadays we have technology far advanced than that. People have, they've frozen their, sperms or eggs, and then hoping that if they ever get with any relationship, and
mm,
then they might try that.
mm,
Absolutely.
mm.
But bottom line is, you need to be happy. You need to first find what is your happiness lies in. Is your
Yeah.
happiness lying in
Mm,
relationship? Pursue that.
mm,
If you
mm.
so, I think most people are, they do wrong, or they are unsure what they want. So, but they are going
I'm
with it.
sure. Yes.
I mean, once you are
Yes.
sure what you want,
Yeah.
then I am pretty sure you will. First of all, you answer yourself what you want, and if you can
Mm,
get that answer right,
mm,
there will always be somebody who is there. And maybe you never looked at left or right, and then maybe you never thought that was a perfect person. Okay, but that's fine. But the question is, should you so in my opinion, start with yourself first, identify yourself, see
mm.
what your priorities are, stick with those, and what makes you happy. So what makes you happy,
Okay.
do that first, and then look for, can you
Yeah.
find someone? Absolutely. My belief is always that there's always someone there for you. What time you meet, it can matter. It can differ. Me and my wife, we didn't meet till late. So it's
Mm,
it's not. I think they used to just. Her friend used to always push her. Oh, your age is getting older and blah blah blah. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if you are going to meet someone, and you will find all. Have faith. In my opinion, I would say have faith, but take care of yourself. There's no relationship or nothing, even friends. Let's say forget about love. Let's say if I give you a challenge to find a friend, any friend,
mm.
in 90 days, real friend, you cannot find.
Right.
And the other person we are trying to do is 90 days, rest of your life you want to spend with that person.
Mm,
What a big
mm.
decision you have to take.
Yeah.
Best is, I'm sure you have, any person has a lot of friends, so those, but we don't time them. We never have, I've never timed any of my friends. Yes, I can talk to anyone in 90 days. Yes, I don't know whether they'll be my friend for long, but same thing, I think. So we have to be realistic a little bit about that. My
Yeah. Dr. Moby, I'm going to give you another a real case, a real question, bringing you from philosophy point of view to this particular scenario, right? If you are if you are single at your age right now, and you have to go on a date.
hmm
Um, so I'm going to throw you this scenario. Um, you go on the website, you're going to meet someone in one of these technology apps to meet someone. So my question to you is, you meet a very attractive lady. That's the first thing that attracts the mind. And of course, the sign says that the eyes are the first thing that attracts, right? You're going to see someone, a very attractive lady, and you go on a date. And you kind of like feel that, hey, wow, she's beautiful, she's good, and she's hot, and she can really talk, and she's got all my characteristics. But I'm going to ask you, Dr. Moby, to be the honest part of your heart. And if she's so beautiful, she's like meeting all your criteria to be to have a serious relationship. Two questions. If other men start looking at her, right? Um, what's your reaction? What's in your mind? She's going out for dinner, etc. And if you feel that she is of your wife material, we're talking about real life now. Does it put you backwards because she is of uh, she's got the full package, and she's attractive, and she's attracting other people's attention. Now these two questions, they are real. And what do you do if you are a single man out there now, and you are looking for someone who is what I've described? Is it a struggle, or is it a natural selection?
Okay, so your question is, would that attract us? Would that kind of complete our relationship, or make a deal, or make us make our final decision? So, what your question is, if somebody is attractive and we
Other
are
men
on
are
a date,
looking.
yeah, and would that convince me to make up, and other men are looking, would that help me or in a way hurt me to make a
Yeah.
decision, right? If that's your question. you know Personally, I think, that's my opinion, is beauty is in the eye of beholder. So it is not, it's everybody's criteria is different. There are turn on one, someone turn off. I agree with that part, that men are more looking, and that, but the criteria is totally different. Nobody looks, in my opinion, nobody looks at a book picture or perfect picture. No one is perfect, actually. So, yeah, in my opinion, I think it's a chemistry. It is how they interact, and I think there's a verbal message, and then there is a
Mm,
non-verbal message. So there is so if, yes, the look can be great, and people, it might find the first kind of
mm,
criteria, but as soon as that person talks and then
mm,
sits for few minutes, you get the idea is going to last longer now. Because I mean, lot of people are very attractive and people look at them, but do you make them your partner? Not really. Sad but true. um, I think it comes down to when they start talking, when they start interacting, then your brain reads, yes, meets the first criteria, but then guess what? To continue any relationship, you need a lot of things to kind of attract you. Yes, can you be in love with first sight and be spend rest of your life on that kind of image only? I mean, you can, but the problem is that with age, with time, things
mm,
change. Things change, and
mm,
that that might not be as attractive as you think. It could change in next year or 2 years from there, and that person might be not. So I think have for me, and relationships are kind of little more on, has to be on more solid ground. Can you have few days relationship short term? Sure, those are, in my opinion, chemistry for short term, not for long term. For
Chemistry
long
short term.
term, yeah. Remember, there is, I always say that, you have to look at exactly what kind of things you want. If you are looking for marriage, if you're
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for stability, remember there was a time when people used to say, if you want to find a good girl, go to church. Remember that? Remember that? So,
Yeah. Go to the
so then,
temple, go to the church, go
yeah,
to the
yeah,
mosque. Look for a good
yeah,
girl.
go to church, go to mosque, go to. Reason was that very simple. If you really want to
Mm,
find somebody good, if you want to have a good time, go to bar. Sure, you know.
mm,
So the question
exactly.
is, I always say, it is like the model, because whatever we create or whatever we entice other, we find the same kind of answers.
The
So
same kind.
yeah, so if we go to bars, we are going to find that kind of personalities. There is nothing to do with bar. People, there are good people there too. What I'm saying is they're looking for doing different things. If you meet somebody in church or mosque or temple, they have kind of different
Mm,
set of rules. So that's, in my opinion, that depends on what are you looking for, or what are you throwing things to get a bait, or get same way. So that is why it's very important. A lot of in our culture also, actually, it's very interesting. Lot of in our culture used to entice think families by throwing a lot of money. So
mm,
they would emphasize on having a big house, fancy car,
mm, mm,
and, and giving a lot of money. So to people visiting for. So guess what will happen if you are throwing a lot of money to attract someone? Guess what will happen? You are going to attract greedy people,
mm.
right?
True, true. Yeah.
So
So,
if
Dr.
somebody,
Moby, yeah. Dr. Moby, I'd like to, because I've taken you 15 minutes. It's such a wonderful, deep conversation we have with a very serious topic for Valentine's Day. And I'm definitely going to show your video to my girlfriends. A lot of them are searching, and you're right. A lot of modern women are out there. A lot of people are out there, falling in and out of relationships and all. Times are getting tough with the advent of a lot of distractions in life. I've got a final question, Dr. Moby. We've talked about the 90-day fiance, right? The 90 frame. Talked about time. Now I'm going to throw you space, right? We've talked about time, space. Now, and we talked
Mhm.
about globalization, with the exception of pandemic. I mean, also pandemic is keeping people away.
Yeah.
There's this thing, the space is always a condition. Um, for people who are always traveling, pre-pandemic days, people are traveling for business, for jobs, even for scientists, researchers, presenting papers internationally, they're traveling and all this. Um, Long-term relationships in a faraway place. What's your take on it? Is it set up to fail?
No, not really, not really. It's not set up to fail. I give you example. My roommate, he was from China. Okay, and we were and I met his wife, and then she told me, we were separated for 2 years, or when we were not married. He was writing letter every day to China. and I have 365 letters. So they kept their relationship 2 years, and he would keep writing letters. So it is not. So imagine in this age. I mean, we're not talking about. I mean, few years back, of course. We're talking about. So in that age, kept that relationship for 2 years without getting married, but believing that. But imagine that passion, and that person had writing letter every day for your feeling for your loved one, and then
Yeah.
meeting that person, and then I I think it's amazing story, because nowadays you don't see that. Long term relationship is little different, in my opinion. Of course, it's a different game.
Yeah.
I think if you want, you can maintain. It is not doomed to fail, but you need to
Mm-hmm.
put more than
Much
your
effort.
normal work. You need to. So imagine this person writing letter every day, not knowing that person will get the letter, first of all, and second will read it. And so she kept that letters, all those letters, and
Yeah.
she said, I have all of them every single day. But
Yeah.
imagine that, that kind of passion. And so yes, if you have that, sure, it will be fine, you will get a reward. But the only thing is, my advice is, it is not doomed to fail, but it is, uh, basically you have to put more effort, for sure.
Yeah. So, Dr. Moby, this is it has been such a fast 60 minutes, incredible. I mean, it just seemed like we had a 15-minute talk because, to me, these are real things.
Hmm.
These are things that people are facing and they're not articulating because it's so taboo, and it brings to a woman, it brings some form of discomfort when she discloses because it brings a lot of um, doesn't look nice. To say it gently, a lot of things are unspoken and they cannot be spoken out there, and especially in a society whereby people are reserved, compounded whereby it is already a taboo topic out there. So, I thank you so much, Dr. Moby, and hope that we can continue a conversation like this for part three of relationship and love in the tech age some time to come. I mean, it is something that is going to be prevalent. It could be something that is even more challenging as time goes, compounded with a lot of distractions and a lot of challenges in life. So, Dr. Moby, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you so much for this special Valentine's Day session with you. It is always such an honor to have you to be the number one podcaster in the US. I'm always in awe of someone who's there in industry, someone who is always constantly doing things. It's not easy to be the constant in a sea of change. So thank you, Dr. Moby. I really appreciate our session.
Thank you for thank you
Yeah,
thank you
thank
for
you,
coming.
Dr. Moby.
It's always been pleasure to meet you. Take care. Thank you.
Bye, Dr. Moby.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Good morning,
Thank you,
everyone.
Dr. Moby, for being my VIP or VIG, very important guest for
Oh,
this Valentine Day special. And without further ado, I like to tell the listeners and the viewers, you're tuning in to Dr. Moby and Vicky. I've got a few questions for Dr. Moby, and then your analysis of a case study. Tapping onto you and your long-term relationship. Um, Firstly, of course, I'd like you to tell us, do you have a message for us on Valentine's Day? I would like you to focus today mature, seasoned relationships. And one of the questions are, how do we revive old, tired relationships? What are your top 3 tips to keep a seasoned relationship alive? And for the generation of the 90-day fiance, do you think it works? Or how can we make it work in a world like so fast paced? We don't have time to meet people. We only have got like a window period of 90 days. How can we make that work? And also, long distance relationship. Is it something that is set up to fail? So, with these few questions, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Moby for the next 30 minutes. It's such a pleasure to have him. He's such a big celebrity. I'm kind of jittery and nervous to have him on, you know, because it's so seasoned. I'm such a novice in this industry. So, Dr. Moby, do you have a message for us today before we go into the questions?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on those questions. And thank you, Vicky. Vicky is always such energetic and full of life and watcher and absurd. And
How are you?
makes
How are you
us
doing?
all
Good.
can
Thank
all
you
feel
for-
in. Good evening, ladies and
tell
gentlemen.
us,
Welcome
little
to
bit
my
about,
two
yourself
fellows,
doing
Vicky
this
and
radio
Lillian.
network,
Actually,
go
today
from
I
there.
am not the
You are
host
I am
so much.
since January
So let's give it to
2021
Lillian
a
from all
full-time
of us.
podcaster.
Good evening.
I
Before we give
originally
it to
started
Lillian, I
out
would like
back in
to
2012
show
with
my
podcasting
gratitude
at
to
this
Dr.
time,
Moby
a
and
startup
Lillian.
podcast
Lillian is
in German
she is
about German
the
startups, and at one
15-year
point
radio
I did
veteran.
have an interview guest who wasn't
She's
a
one of
German
the
native
giants of the
speaker, and
industry
he
in the
said,
radio
"Yeah, okay,
world.
I'm more
It's such an
comfortable
honor
if
to
we
have
do
her.
it.
And
I feel more secure if we do it in English." And so I was doing my first interview in English. And at one point, it got so much of interest as well as mix up on this one podcast feed that I basically carved out my English content. And this, like in 2015, was the start of startuprate.io. I was sticking a little bit with the other team, and then since 2018, do it almost by myself. I do have a co-host for my startup news. He lives in New York City. Hey, Chris. And there's a community manager in the background. His name's Pedro. He's also living here in Frankfurt. Basically, we produce around 2 pieces on average per week, mostly interview with entrepreneurs that you cannot find in English anywhere else. So we have very unique content with early to later stage startups who are either looking for investors, international expansion, international recognition, international client stuff like this. That's why they are making their first interview in English with us. And we also had already some very well-known names, but I tried to stick with the less well-known startups, especially the ones that don't get international coverage, because that's the content people are looking for on my website and on my podcast.
So I understand it's a lot of is a business podcast, and that is actually really needed, because now with COVID, there's a lot of businesses affected. People don't know when this economy is going to turn around. A lot of businesses like restaurants and other are having hard time surviving, right? So let's talk a little bit about some of the aspects of that. Tell me a little bit about how COVID has affected in Germany so far.
I would say we've been very lucky, especially here in the area that I'm living. In the city close by, they had some even some curfew at night, where when the infection numbers were high, but that has already phased out for quite some time. Right now, it's a little bit strange, because you have, when we go to the shopping mall just around here, there's basically only stores related to everyday needs, like grocery stores, like pharmacies, like food, like the Starbucks there. That is still open, but all like the retail clothing, jewelry, what else is there? Toy store and stuff like this, they are all closed right now, and that feels very strange. And it's the same case for all across Germany, even though at the time we're talking right now, there's there's some discussion ongoing between the German states and the federal ministry and the federal chancellor and all the federal ministries involved about when and how to get out of this partial lockdown.
Yeah, and that is, the key is, the to survive. The survival is important because, one thing is, yes, for sure we have a lot of problem with right now COVID, but somehow we have to survive. It's like when there's a thunderstorm. Trees bend, and then
Actually, for me personally, not a lot has changed because I'm working full time from home. I did it with my last job almost exclusively for the last like half year. Yeah, half year. And basically, you can still go for grocery shopping. Everything is available. You can still go to the beverage store, get your sparkling water, get your Coke, get your Pepsi. Everything's fine, but you cannot do like the real fashion shopping, the clothes shopping, stuff like this. That is a little bit limited, but actually there are some stores you can call. They tell you what they have on the shelves, and basically then you can order and then pick it up in person. So that's also working. So I would say it's a little bit inconvenient. It doesn't limit me very much right now.
Okay. So there is definitely, some businesses are affected pretty badly. Some of the in dining restaurants. So
In
the
dining
take.
theaters, like all the music venues, the cinemas, the cafes. For example, I mentioned Starbucks, but actually there's a limited amount of people that can go in, of course, with a mask. Then you'll be you get your beverage prepared also from people with a mask, and then there's one way out. So it's basically a one-way lane through the store, and they removed like all the chairs, all the cushy furniture, everything. It looks pretty strange for Starbucks.
Yeah, I know, but I think for Starbucks probably is going to be okay because they have more of the. But what about these restaurants? Which kind of solely they were in dining. People would just wine and dine for hours, and those are really in bad shape. The takeout here, even in states, the takeout is not bad. They are surviving, but that's kind of the bulk. Those fancy restaurants, they're where we used to have hours of waiting time, to even sit. So those are now gone, completely gone. uh, so small restaurants which had more of takeout slash dine, maybe like fast food, those are surviving very well so far, actually doing better. Same grocery stores are doing well here, and the Starbucks, here, I mean, they still kind of give more. Is the people would just sit there and drink, yes, but now they have just basically given, people can pick up the drink and go. But still, I think their stock here is also actually pretty up. It was kind of down before, but I think it's doing really well. So the stock market, for Starbucks is really good so far. So not bad actually. But other businesses, some of made record profit, like Amazon, and they probably did very well. But other, the small businesses, I think, in my opinion, they should be able to survive. We should support them. So personally, I go to small grocery stores, um, and also trying to support small, small restaurant owners, see if we can help them so to keep growing. I think COVID has really put emphasis on small businesses survival. If somehow we can support that, that would be great. What do you think about that?
And it really also forces them to digitize. At one point, most of the restaurants around here supported some kind of takeout, but now they all have it in the usual apps that are out here. You can order takeout and you even get it delivered from them either personally or you use some of the delivery services they have here. And that is all working pretty neat as far as I can tell right now.
Yeah, that is for sure. Here also same thing. So I think, what is the model you think, for the banks? What will happen to the banks? Are they going to loan these struggling survivors? What is right now here in Europe? In US, I know we are getting some of bailout from the government. The payroll protection, some of those small business we're getting some money for, but nobody has, still there's not enough till the businesses are back and booming.
I can so far only talk.
I know we are getting some of bailout from the government, the payroll protection, some of those small business we're getting some money for, but nobody has, still there's not enough till the businesses are back and booming.
I can so far only talk
they were getting big checks or good.
And I said, okay, so of course I gave somebody to edit.
They were getting big checks or good.
And I said, okay, so of course I gave somebody to edit.
Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. I'm Dr. Moby, and today we are honored with great guest Annette Pearson. And let's welcome Annette. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, thank you for coming on our show, and it's been always pleasure to meet a life coach. And because I'm a big believer of that, we can really change and find people who are believing in changing, making a difference one person at a time. So tell me a little bit about your journey as a life coach.
So, I'm going to be really candid with everybody. This is all very recent. And, um, I've just published a book called Finding Strength in the Dark, a story of hope, love, faith, and Hot Pink Mary Janes. When in January of 2019, I lost my son in a very tragic miscarriage. And January 15th of 2020, I lost my daughter in a second trimester loss. And after the C-section, my life became in jeopardy. And I ended up in 4 hours of life-saving surgery, followed by multiple procedures to reconstruct what had to be done to save my life. I was really in a dark place after this happened. This was, you know, not my first loss. I've actually had 6 losses, and I've had other things happening. But this one, of course, as you can imagine, losing a child, losing 2 children like that, hit me the hardest, and I was really lost. And then the world came into this pandemic. And I found myself just in a really dark place where I didn't recognize me. My husband didn't recognize me. And I was searching for guidance. 2 children like that. Time, hit me the hardest, and I was really lost. And then the world came into this pandemic. I can't be strong. And I found getting up in the morning to get my daughter off place where, you know, I didn't after a leave of absence went back to work. Didn't recognize me. And I was searching as I'm giving myself children like that because I'm doing hit me the hardest, and I was but I'm telling myself that I'm at the end of my rope. I can't hold on. And to me, it just felt like I'm just getting up in the morning to get my daughter off place. I still can't do it. And then I was sitting in meditation. After a leave of absence, went back to work and recognized me. And I was searching as I'm giving myself children like that because I'm doing hit me the hardest, but I'm telling myself, and then I'm at the end of my rope. I can't hold on. And to me, it just felt like I'm getting up in the morning to get my daughter off place. I still can't do it. And then I was sitting in meditation.